You see, my brother, and on the line of being candid with ourselves and so on, let me say something very, you know, I want to say something, my brother, I want to say something very seriously. Look, the Mahama administration has been in office for more than 3 months. Listen to me carefully. It has been in office for more than 3 months.
Actually, the third month will be Monday.
Just entered the third month.
Yeah.
7th January.
It will be 3 months on Monday.
7th April,
Yeah.
3 months.
What is today's date?
Today is what? Today is 5th. 5th, we are not even 7th.
Oh, okay.
7th will be 3 months.
I like to be alright.
You are counting days. Well, it's
So it's in the 3rd month. So it's in the 3rd month, but not
So
more
the
than 3
Mahama
months.
administration is
3 months.
it's
3 months.
10.
Yeah, that's correct.
That is no excuse for keeping anybody in office who has fallen out of line. If you fall out of line the first day, the second day, you must show the exit. This government has a huge opportunity to reset the country. And you can't reset the country with some of the ministers I'm seeing today. My brother, I'm serious. You can't reset this country with some of the ministers I'm seeing today. This government came to power partly as a result to mass opposition to reckless public spending, especially with regards to the National Theatre, the National Cathedral. Listen to me very carefully. So if you appoint a minister who in less than 3 months, I thought it was more than 3 months, but in less than 3 months, looks us in the face and says that we are going to rebuild the national, we are going to build the National Cathedral, and that those who oppose it will face them. Face who? We are going to face those who elected you into power.
Who said that?
I'm surprised that you don't know.
Can't know it.
That minister must be shown the exit now. He's not fit to be in office. You see, and if the government is able to take such measures, then the viciousness and malicious propaganda of the opposition would not be able to stand. But when government is not able to take a firm stand on these issues and discipline its people and so on, then it provides ground for malicious propaganda and so on. Master, I finished.
Missing container.
The matter of the missing containers raises many questions and answers. But I like to go back to the genesis of the problem. And like I said in my discussion of the cocaine matter and the effusions of Ntimfojo, I think that we must be interested in the processes that led, one, to the procurement of the containers, two, to the failure of ECG to clear the containers, three, the arrangement that allowed individual people to clear the containers from the harbor and resell those same containers to ECG. Four, how refined aluminium coils imported into this country for specific purposes could find their way to Indians and Chinese to be smelted again and exported. It appears to me that this is largely within the ambit of the organized crime, economic and organized crime office of the government of Ghana or the state of Ghana. Because if you watch the whole spectacle from the beginning to the end, it appears that there was a consistent, deliberate effort to cause this loss to the states. Because I've been told that the procurement plan of the ECG stated that only 1.8 million or 1.4 million, a billion Ghana cedis was to be used for procurement. And ECG finally procured $8 billion worth of goods. Now, we have to know what role the board of directors of ECG played in approving the procurement that was not supported by the procurement plan of ECG. We have to know. Or was their procurement plan at large? Because every year, I mean, my experience in public service is that every year you do a budget, and the budget is informed by the state of the institution. We want to build a substation, and we built one last year at Achimota or so. We want to intensify the network in Gushugu. We want to do certain things, and so we will need these materials to be able to do that. And then you import those materials into the country. Now, when you come to that conclusion, I mean, so you draw a budget, so we will need X amount of money, and that budget that management will draw has to get the approval of the board of directors. My question is, did the board of directors of ECG give an approval for the procurement of $8 billion worth of goods, totaling 3,000 containers of 40 what? 3,240 of 40-foot containers? Was it the approval they gave? Now, then the second question, again, if you are management and you are bringing in this amount of goods, and you know that they will attract payment of taxes, I want to know what arrangement was made by management that convinced the board of directors that if these goods arrived, they will be able to clear the goods from the port. After all, the goods were needed for certain type of projects. I want to know, because it beats my imagination how a group of people can make such management decisions without regard, one, to their financial status, two, to the challenges that they face as an institution. I mean, it beats my imagination. Now, to the Dubik and his people, and it's not only Dubik. We go back, when was the decision taken? Because at a point in time, before Afenyomaken, Kelly Gajepo was the chairperson of the board. Was it that Kelly Gajepo's board or Afenyomaken's board that took the decision? We need to know. And what motivated that decision? We need to know. We need to know. And we know that Dubik Mahama at a point resigned from the management MD position of ECG. Yes. What led to the resignation? We need to know. Then there is the customs. There's the customs bit. How were the containers cleared? Who cleared them? Who were the consignees? Who were the consignees of the containers? And so how could they be cleared? How could they be cleared? Now, if they were cleared because the containers attracted demurrage charges, So was it the commissioner of customs, and by their operating procedure, it is only the commissioner of customs who will indicate which containers or items at the port should be auctioned out. So is it the decision of the commissioner of customs that over 1,400 containers belonging to the ECG be auctioned? I'm raising these issues because my interest is to understand how we could simply lose close to $400 million. $400 million. The school behind our house, Sakasaka Private School, could be built from beginning to end. Could be built. Thousands of them could be built. The teaching hospital has no running water. We could find a way to pipe water from Delon or Yeji to that place. $400 million. Or our road, the Dodua road, is under construction. There's no money to do it. $400 million could do it for us. How can we lose that money when we have development challenges? And then people are blaming each other, and we seem to be interested in the blame. I'm interested in the $400 million. Who was that? Who took that decision that has resulted in the loss of the $400 million? That's what I'm interested in. Now, so you hear the former MD say, the containers are not lost. Then we hear A Plus say, we intercepted one vehicle at Swidro. Then we hear reports in the media say that some number of Chinese and Indians have been arrested. There's even one report which says the former minister of energy sold 40 containers to us. That again deepens the conspiracy. Because if Dubik is saying no container has been lost, and assuming that no container has been lost, it goes to tell us, what it tells us is that this arrangement predates the 3,000 containers. That's what it tells us. So we need to understand what is going on. Why is it that, and so I come back to Mr. Kwesi Pratt has said on this platform that he didn't support the privatization of ECG. I now see the reason. Even though at that time I said, we need to inject some physical discipline and capital. But I now see the reason. Why wouldn't we call for privatization of ECG when we can just throw away $400 million? Get me? Why? So clearly, there is something fundamentally wrong. That's why on other platforms I have said that by now a committee of inquiry should have been established. If you think that a committee of inquiry will go and unravel facts that you can't prosecute on, send the matter to Yoko. Everybody should be rushing to Yoko now to explain his role. Because the $400 million is huge. It's huge. It's huge. And people were just fleecing the electricity company of Ghana of resources that belong to the state. We have not even come to the pay Telton. You remember that they have set up a group, a company to be receiving payments on behalf of ECG with payment. We have not even come to PDS. That the money that were collected. You see why ECG, when we say that we shouldn't privatize, it's not because we don't want better services, but we think that the leakage, the bleeding of ECG is just too much that it cannot sustain itself. And that when we are able to cover these loopholes, the ECG should be able to stand on its own. So, for starters, let everybody, Mr. Excellency John Dramani Mahama, I know you are a listening president. If you are listening to us this morning, anybody connected with the imputation of the over 3,000 containers into this country connected with the auctioning of the 3,000 containers or 1,400 containers must be explaining their role in this heist, and so that the country can take steps to recover this amount of money, because the money belongs to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And of course, very interesting. Like he said, Dubik Mahama emerged this week, granted a couple of interviews. First, he said, do not blame Afenyo King, and nobody should point finger at Afenyo King and the former energy minister, that's Matthew Opoku Pempe. And secondly, he also says the containers that they are not missing. The word he used is they are misplaced. So we are now looking for where they have been misplaced. I'll come to my left with.
In fact, I just said on tape. I was even showing it to Sabu, in which he granted an interview and alleged as far back as somewhere last year, he was aware of an arrangement where some had gone and cleared the containers, not later to ECU. They didn't use ECU, but they managed to clear the containers and got back to sell the containers to them, to try and sell the containers back to them.